Hey guys, what's up? For those of you who actually care about my Dark Souls 2 videos, and thus you're watching this right now, you guys probably already know that I am way behind in putting these videos out. Really, really behind. I'm pretty much close to beating the game. In fact, the only reason why I haven't beaten it yet is because I've been fooling around with different builds and other characters, plus work, plus I've been playing with Demo Man Chaos as well. We've been doing a co-op thing, which I've been recording for comedic purposes. And then plus the trip to New York, a lot of other things. But I mean, really, if I just wanted to run through this game, I would have beaten it already. But and then plus there's like this particular character that you're seeing here, who's my main. I've been purposefully not using him until I'm ready to record myself playing through for the sake of, showing you this stuff on YouTube. But even with that said, I'm only like a few areas away from beating the game, and I got tons of footage that needs to go up. So for the next few weeks, expect a lot of Dark Souls 2 stuff coming out. I'm still going to be putting out more other stuff like my rants and my sword stuff and whatever else comes to mind, but I really got to get this out the way. So anyway, the reason why this is freeze frame is because if you saw my last Dark Souls 2 video, it kind of cut off right when I found the bonfire right here after I beat the those three bosses, the Sentinels. I kept on playing after that idiotically without spending my souls. So you're about to see me completely royally F up before I start later on as, a straight up zombie. At first I wasn't going to show this, but I figured, no, why not? In fact, I'm even going to show you what I'm going to even have the audio in from that match. So check it out and have some fun with this. Now, from here, we have an interesting ways to go. If we go down here, then you're going to end up in Belfry Luna, and that's an interesting place in and of itself. We're not going there. We're going somewhere else. Okay. Fatty but whole. This guy. Yeah, as you can see, he knows how to throw fireballs. It's too bad he doesn't actually drop the spell. It would have been nice if he could. This is death. But there's something hidden here. What? Oh. I do not. It's been a while. Hold on a second, guys. Head out here. Actually, let me head out there first and hopefully not get brutally murdered. What the hell? Sorry, guys, but for some weird... I don't know why that happened. I got that toner low message on my screen, which got me hit. I'm surprised I'm not dead. Oh, no. That should finish him off. Okay, so, yeah, there was a guy here. And then around here, apparently there are goodies. And then there, that's another area that we're going to be going to later, which I do not feel like going to right now. But, actually, no. Well, down there I don't feel like going to. Here, I feel like going to. You can hear the dogs down there all hoping they can get their hands on me. Huh. This place look familiar to you? Doesn't to me. That is an ambush to the row! Trick before he gets to you. Yeah, kill him. See, these guys are frightening to deal with. Really, really frightening to deal with. Because as you can see, that explosion takes out tons of damage. And you really don't want to deal with that. I'm actually going... I don't remember everything that's in here, so a lot of this is surprising me. And I've not seen this door before. Bad luck, skeleton. Okay, apparently there's an ambush here. I think we might be heading towards Strayed. Strayed is a really cool dude. I happen to like Strayed. Oh, this is bringing me right back to where I started, I think. And I'm noticing the... Oh, shit! This isn't good, guys! This is not good! I'm dead. I do not see myself surviving this. Told you. So yeah, after that colossal failure, here we are again, doing this the right way. You'll notice, by the way, that you see that there's some souls on the side that they've already been spent. I went back and claimed my souls and slaughtered them in vengeance and such, and then spent them on, I believe, leveling up and possibly some upgrades, but it's been so long ago that I don't remember. And here I was basically attuned. Yeah, now I remember what I did. I did level up and give myself an extra attunement slot. So I think I gave myself the fireball here. Because I rely on pyromancy as well as sorcery with this build. And now I'm going to be going through this area again, but this time I'm doing it with intelligence and dignity. As well as with righteous fury, because at this point I was like, F these guys! Just hack them from behind. By the way, you'll notice I'm still using the fire longsword at this point, because I had yet to discover the joy and glory that is dual wielding with a rapier and curved sword, especially with the ambi stance. And I refuse to call it the power stance. I know that's what everyone's calling it, but that's not what I'll call it. And now we're back in this room, and coming in from this direction, where this time I'm not going to be ambushed by Mr. Explodey Pants. And I'm going to be dealing with him the right way. Which is to say, from a distance with a bow. And that is how you should be handling these fools. I really hate these guys in this game, because the thing is, like, as soon as they see you, they rush you down, as this fool's about to do. And once they get into melee range, you got a split second to hit them with a sword before they, blow up in your face. And then you'll most likely die. Which isn't good. So what I do is I fight dishonorably and pick them with a bow. There's no reason to be up close. If this game isn't going to be playing fair with you, there's no reason why you should be playing fair with it. So just execute them and move on with them. In fact, I honestly feel that no matter what your build, you should have some type of ranged option. Especially if you're playing a dex build. There's no reason why you shouldn't have a bow and arrow with you if you're leveling up your dex. And here's one of the things that frustrate me about all the Souls games, the damn invisible walls. I hate it when you're looking directly at an enemy with a distance weapon, and, I mean, it looks like you got a clear shot, and then you fire, and you hit a damn wall. Stupid. And that was a mistake. I did not mean to nudge that thing over. I was hoping to actually use it against the next few explodies in this room, who are hiding in those weird, babushka-shaped cages there. Are they called babushka dolls? I forget. I think there's another name for them. Anyway, what my strategy normally is that I destroy those things. I I forgot for some real weird reason that you can break those things with iron arrows, which I had. So then I was using the fireballs to break them, but then I forgot what cages or cocoons or coffins or whatever you want to call these things. I forgot which ones they were in. So now I'm trying to shoot through the bars, and that didn't work. So then my plan was, okay, I know which cage it is, so I'm just going to blow him up with fire, and, well, that didn't work, because then he immediately jumped out. So I just had to hack him for his trouble. And it's at this point that I pretty much just say, fuck it. Like, I was going to try to, maybe I should, the last guy, let me just pick up with, from a distance with, I'm gonna, you know what? Fuck it. Sometimes the direct approach is the smartest approach. Now we got two more Mr. McBombs up here. And I decided to go with my usual route and take them off from a distance. But I bump into my nemesis, Invisible Wall, once again. Which really frustrates me. Again, it's... I mean, here... Okay, I'll kind of give the game that, you know, but this here's no excuse. I mean, come on now. Really? Seriously. What the fuck? Finally. In this earlier stage of the game, arrows cost a lot. I mean, really they don't, but when you're in the beginning, you're not making that many souls, you hate wasting arrows. And speaking of wasting things, I'm about to go up here and completely waste my freaking time. And not only is it a waste of time, but it also almost kills me. Because this is a very dangerous area. And some of you who already know this place, you see, here we go. Mr. Explodey immediately spotted. So there, an arrow in his skull. Well, or his body, first of all. But yeah, this ended up being a colossal waste of time. And some of you guys may be going, what do you mean? Because you know who's in here, and you know how beneficial he is, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Well, in a couple of minutes. First I gotta snipe these guys. Stupid invisible wall. There we go. Arrow to the brains. An arrow to the brain is better than an arrow to the knee. There we go. And here I was all happy that I cleared the room, and it's at this point that I realized that I did not have a fragrant branch view. Which is what I needed in order to get to the guy who's in this room, which is the whole point of coming up in this room in the first place, Mr. Strayed. For the few of you who don't know about this yet, that statue over there in that cage, that jail cell, is not a statue. That's a petrified human being named Strayed, who's one of the coolest NPCs in the game because he gives you some really great spells. And he can also trade certain boss souls for really good weapons and spells. But you need to unpetrify him, and you need a fragrant branch of you for that. Which I didn't have. So, yeah. And I normally have one at this point. I don't know why I didn't. Now, here, I was deciding whether I was going to take the elevator down or not, because I didn't open the door on the other side. But I think I decided what the hell, because I knew there was a chest down here. And by the way, you see that treasure there? In case you don't know how to get it yet, all you need to do is have the silver cat ring, and you can just jump down there and grab it. But I didn't have it at the time, so yeah, that's why I didn't grab it. I don't really remember what it was anyway, so let's open this up. And wilted dusk herb, which is useful for mages. Now, what I'm doing here is showing that there is a secret door here in this room, but you can't access it from this side. You can only access it from the other side. And how you get to the other side is, if you saw earlier in this video, that area where I was jumping from roof to roof and I said I was going to be going down there later, it's from down that area, in that lower area that you use to get to this room. In fact, in an earlier video, I happened to have mentioned that going into that area earlier. In fact, it was in my very first Bastille video. I mentioned it was an area that I was going to go to later. That's the area which leads you to there, which opens up that door, and you can go in from there. But you'll see that with later footage. And down that door, by the way, that cage there, well, that gate, that leads to another boss. That's the Lost Sinner, for those of you who don't know. It was weird that I saw a red signature there. this early in the game. It was kind of weird. Normally I see red signatures in the Iron Keep. This, by the way, shows you how old this footage is. I thought that there was a hidden door in here because it had been a while since I played the PlayStation 3 version of the game. I was like hitting the wall, seeing if there was something there, but there wasn't. So, and now we're back here. I wish I had recorded the footage of me going down this hallway that you see to the left. I already went there and grabbed the goodies there. It was here that I hadn't done yet, where I jump across and grab this. And then I'm just going to walk along this ledge here to get the other treasure that some of you guys may remember if you saw my earlier videos. There's a treasure at the end of this wall here. Just got to make sure not to fall. Falling equals death, so don't do that. Close up of my zombied face there. By the way, you probably have already noticed through glimpses of me playing through this that the skybox is working. This shows you how old this footage is. Because those of you who've played the PC version of Dark Souls 2 know that ever since late April, there's been problems with the skybox in this level. Namely, when you play this game online, and that's some good stuff there. I don't know why I just flashed through it so quick. Namely, when you play this game online, the skybox doesn't show up. You just see this blue background instead of the dark sky and the clouds and stuff, and the moon. The only way you can fix it is like by forcefully quitting and turning on the game again, or just playing offline. I don't know why From Software has not fixed this yet. I don't know if they can fix it because it's been a long... They've patched the game several times and done all this other stuff like nerfing abilities and strengthening other abilities and weapons, but they have yet to fix the skybox, which is frustrating. But whatever. So that's it. We're pretty much done with the Bastille for now. Yeah, pretty much. Next we meet, I believe the next place I'm going to be going to is Huntsman's Copse, I think. So, catch you guys later. Fooled you. Got a little bit more footage for you guys. I figured, since the stuff I showed was so short, might as well put some extra footage here and show you guys some of the co-op I did while I was in the Bastille. I wanted to show you guys the co-op because, quite frankly, co-op in Dark Souls 2 is my favorite thing to do, multiplayer-wise. I know other people, they get off on playing PvP, and while PvP is fun, that's not really what I like doing when I'm interacting with other people in this game. I prefer co-op. I have a lot more fun with co-op. Well, generally, I have a lot more fun with co-op. Sometimes I end up playing with idiot players. Like right here, I'm wondering why the hell did he jump down so early? Because that means now we have to deal with, multiples of these guys early on. Where if we stayed up there, we could have dealt with them one at a time. But never mind. Anyway, we still win this battle. But I wanted to share some of this footage with you of the co-op stuff that I did against the Sentinel bosses. Partially because I have some pretty decent footage here, rather entertaining. Some of it good, some of it, not so good in terms of how well we did. By the way, you can tell this is old footage because people are still using lightning. This was back when miracles and lightning in particular was still a viable thing to do in this game. That nerf patch really screwed things up for the Faith builds. I'm glad I don't play Faith builds. Make of that what you will. Atheists out there who know my channel, you're probably laughing at that. But whatever. I want to share this, with you guys, as well as take the opportunity to use this footage to start talking about some of the things about Dark Souls 2 that I wanted to share with you guys, but I haven't really had a chance to, partially because I was busy with other stuff, and partially because I haven't been putting up that many videos to talk about this stuff back when it was still kind of raging in the Dark Souls 2 community. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is the fact that this game got a lot of heat from other players in terms of like comparing it to the other Souls games. Basically a lot of people there were some people who flat out said that this game sucked. Other people who were saying that, this game's decent, but it doesn't hold up. It's not as good as the other two, which I can understand that argument, and I've kind of argued that a little bit myself. But one thing that I have to stress is that I still enjoy this game. For one thing, it's a Souls game, period. Yeah, it may have been made by the B team of FromSoft. For those of you who are in the know, you know what I mean. The guys who made the first two games didn't exactly make this game. Yeah, that guy couldn't dodge, so now he's dead. But it's still a good game. If you could, quite frankly, I'd rather play this than most of the AAA titles out there. Just to give you an idea, one of the games I happen to have on Steam right now is Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Now, I happen to have liked the I happen to like the Assassin's Creed series up until at least Assassin's Creed 3. Like, by the time they got up to Revelations, I thought things were getting kind of stale, even though I liked Revelations, but I was beginning to see that they were rehashing the same thing over and over again. And then Assassin's Creed 3 came out, and I was like, ugh. And then Black Flag came out, and Black Flag's decent, but I gotta tell you, I barely touched the game because I got Dark Souls 2. That should tell you something. I mean, for all the heat that Dark Souls 2 gets, and I'm not saying it's not without its problems, it's still better than most of the other games out there. And to me, it's just the atmosphere of the game, the combat engine, the story, the lore, even though they didn't handle the lore as well as they could have, like they did in the other games, but the lore is still good. I just prefer playing this than the other games. It still holds up for me. So I kind of wish that it didn't get the heat that it got from other, people either in the community or other people just thought that, oh, Dark Souls 2 doesn't hold up. It holds up, in my opinion. It's just, yeah, it may not be as good as the other two, but those other two games set such a high bar, and this one is still up there. So, yeah, I still enjoy it, guys. I'm still playing it, so there. I was going to talk about you know what, I'm going to save that for another video. I was going to talk about the changes that happened. I have a little bit of speculation as to why, like, they changed things in terms of graphics. Like, we already know that there was a bit of a graphics downgrade, particularly with the console versions, from what we saw in the trailers before this game came out. And I already touched on that a bit. But after the Bloodborne trailer came out, which is going to be like the next game in the... It's not really a Souls game, but it is kind of the same game, so to speak. Like, it kind of shares the same roots. But after seeing footage of that game, for those of you who haven't heard of Bloodborne, I think I'm beginning to understand why they decided to change the lighting and the lighting direction in this game, why the contrasts aren't as sharp as before. I'll get into that in another video, though, like when I go through areas that are dark where it's more relevant. But suffice to say, some things are beginning to make a bit of sense to me as why they took the direction they did in this game. Oh, and another guy bites the dust. Dodging is important. Something else that I wanted to talk about in terms of Dark Souls 2 is the Bastille itself, which I didn't really talk too much about while going through here. I mostly just simply talked about the enemies and stuff, but I didn't really talk about kind of like this place in terms of its atmosphere and the lore of it, which really interested me a lot. This is actually one of the areas in the game that I really like. For one thing, it kind of amuses me that just like in the first game, when the undead start showing up, of course this game takes place like who knows how many years, centuries, eons later than the first, but yet we're kind of seeing similar stuff happening, just in different ways. Remember in the first game when the undead showed up, after a while people, were freaking out so much that they locked them away in an asylum somewhere, which is where you break out of in the beginning of Dark Souls 1. But in this game, you now have the Lost Bastille, which is where they locked away a bunch of undead and other, people that they were terrified of. So it's like, here we go, things are running in cycles and history is repeating itself. Which, if you've been paying attention to what the tone of this, what this game is about, the theme of this game, it's about cycles and it is about death and rebirth. I think they kind of bludgeoned that theme over our heads a little too strongly. I mean, like the very beginning of the game, you realize that is the overall theme, and you realize right away that unless you're dense, you realize right away that you're building a new age, and this is what the game is about. But even so, I still like the way that you kind of see echoes of things repeating itself, and the Bastille is a reflection of that. Yeah, I walked into that one. But yeah, this is a reflection of that, where, you know, once again, you're in this place. You may not have started in this area, but it's still an area where the undead have been locked away and left to, you know, dwell in misery. In fact, you see two places like this. One here is the Bastille, and later on in Huntsman's Copse, which we're going to be going to later, if I haven't already gone through it. I think I've already gone through it. God, I got to catch up to what videos I put up. Sorry. Yeah, that was a fight that was wasted. But yeah, it's like, you know, they were like hunted down even more so than in the last game. So it's like, you know, these guys didn't learn from history, if they were even able to learn from the history of the lore. Because, you know, again, things go in cycles, which is what the theme's about. And I do appreciate that. I know with our Western perspectives, we don't really like looking at things going in cycles, but from an Eastern perspective, you know, that's something that they happen to, that's part of their worldview, that, you know, things are going to revolve, things are going to happen over and over again, you know, in a different way, but it's, you know, ce plus change, ce plus même chose. You know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And considering that this was a game made in Japan, you know, that theme does echo throughout, so... By the way, I switched up a little bit here. I went to the rapier instead of the fire longsword because I was realizing that I would actually do a little bit more damage with the rapier with my build than with the fire longsword. And it was just like a few more points of damage. Nothing major, but whatever. Anyway, talking about cycles, that being said, one thing I'm hoping, if they do make another Dark Souls, is that that game is about maybe changing the cycle or breaking the cycle. Yeah, that didn't go well. While I do appreciate the whole cycles thing, if there's going to be a third game and it's just yet another kind of retread or rehashing, it's going to turn people off, including me. Gameplay notwithstanding. Maybe, or if it's going to be a retread, then I would like to see maybe a complete, like somehow all the forces of the past, like the dragons, the primordial serpents, the old gods and goddesses and such, somehow they come back, or somehow we find out a little bit more about them, and if they've reincarnated into other forms. Like, I would really like to see, you know, I would like to see an expansion of that. Yeah, I almost got knocked off there. But that would be really cool. If not that, then at least a way of kind of like either breaking the cycle, which personally I don't think they're going to do, or changing the cycle in some way. Like something significant that makes it not be this ever-evolving wheel of pain, as in Buddhism or something, you know? Which, the curse of life and death and rebirth. But then again, that's... Actually, that's something else that maybe I should... That would be another video in itself. If you really think about it, this game is very Buddhist. And for all its dark overtones and such, the fact that the game basically says that life itself can be a curse, and it's this constant evolving wheel of pain, that even though you're undead, you know, the sad thing is the fact that you can't die, you can't escape this wheel of life and death and life again, and except instead of being reincarnated, it's the same life, which makes it even worse. And you're trying to find a way to escape that, you know, to reach nirvana, if you will, though in this case it's a way of ending the curse, so you either can die or, I guess, don't lose your mind. There's, I don't know, there's some Buddhist overtones, or should I say, Buddhist undertones to me in this game that I think could bear some discussion. But anyway, I was supposed to be talking about the Bastille itself, and one thing I really like these bosses. They can be frustrating, but at the same time, they are fun to deal with if you know what you're doing. And another thing I really like is just the layout of the area. The atmosphere is spooky as hell, and you should play. If for those of you who played Dark Souls 2, how many of you guys have played this with headphones? It really is a different experience playing this game with headphones than if you play it with just speakers. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer playing this game on PC than on my PlayStation 3, because I can actually use headphones when I'm playing on the PC. And there is a lot of background stuff that you miss playing with just speakers. There's a lot of whispering going on, like spooky whispering that comes up every now and then. You hear weird echoes of stuff going on. Like, you really get a sense of like forgotten ghosts wandering this area. Like, you know, this this was a place of pain and, you know, of torment, and this is also a place where, you know, like heinous deeds went on, and you get that vibe not just from the way the place looks, but just the fact that, you know, you hear these little whisperings and like things calling seemingly to you, maybe either to torment you or just you're hearing echoes of things just chittering around. That it just adds to the atmosphere of the place, and I really, really like that. I love playing this area with my headphones on. And then, of course, there's the music for these bosses. It's one of my favorite tunes in this game. I'm glad I got the soundtrack to this game, because this is one of the tunes that I play the most. Anyway, we're almost at the end of this. This is the last bit of footage. I kind of change up again. I stick with the rapier, but this time, instead of adding magic weapon, this time I decided to add dark resin. Because someone had told me that actually darkness or, you know, hexes do wonders against these guys. So I decided to try it. And it did do a little bit more damage, but not too much so. It wasn't enough for me to go, oh, I need to start packing on dark resins when I go up against these guys, but it was noticeable. Actually, wait a minute, am I using? At some point I use it, I think. I don't know why I didn't use it here. I think I use it later, I realize it. This is also probably the match where we, actually I think you saw it already when we did the proper way of dealing with these guys. You kill this guy, you wait for the next guy to jump up, you handle that guy for a while until the second guy comes up, and then you just jump off. So, yeah. Oh, finally, before I end this, one weird criticism I've heard about the PC version of Dark Souls 2 is that because it runs at 60 frames per second, it ruins the game. And I'm like, the people who've been saying that, if you happen to be watching this, which I doubt, because I'm a small channel, but in case you are, what drugs are you smoking? Because quite frankly, I have both versions, and I actually have an easier time and a more fun time playing on the PC version than on the PlayStation 3 version, which is at 30 frames per second. Like at 60 frames, I can dodge easier, I can parry easier, I can see enemies' attacks coming better. But yet, I'm finding several of you guys saying that it's harder to play at 60 frames because the enemies are somehow faster. How? I don't see that. I really don't. I beat the game on the PS3 having a kind of rough time going through it. Not in a bad way, but I know I couldn't parry as much as I'd liked. I had to really, really, like, do some split-second timing with my dodges. It was a little bit easier for me here on the PC. And I'm running at highest settings, 60 frames per second, anti-aliasing, all that stuff. You can see that here. I'm not having a problem. Now, there is, of course, the durability issue with the weapons that is on PC. The fact that because it's at 60 frames per second, durability actually, your weapons break down at double the rate on the PlayStation 3 version because for some idiotic reason, From Software decided to code your weapons breakdown with the frames. But according to a document that FromSoft later on put out, this might actually be the way they intended. I think they actually intended for the weapons to break down as fast as it does in the PC version. I'll get into that later in another video, but suffice to say, I think that's probably not a glitch. Anyway, enough of that noise. Catch you guys later.